What if God, the overseer of your entire existence, made you simply to torture you and cause you endless pain and suffering? Well, a concept like that is approached in a certain story about AI. A lot of people are scared of artificial intelligence. You don't know how scary artificial intelligence is until you've seen this story. We've seen stories about AI going rogue. Skynet released the Terminators to protect itself. It's either humanity or us. The Matrix AI robots that basically harvest humans for their bioenergy and electricity so they can sustain themselves. The Sentinels, programmed to kill all mutants, but then they start killing everybody to the point where they kill people who have the potential to progenate humans, and then they went berserk. Ultron, he saw humanity's stupidity on display through the course of history and was like, yeah, they're a cancerous tumor that needs to be removed, and fuck Tony Stark, I hate him. David, a resentment of humans thinking they're gods, and him wanting to be a creator, a god himself, causing him to have a god complex and a wrathful, violent rage towards his own makers. What happens if you put all those together? You get AM from I Have No Mouth and Must Scream, a short story about one of the most diabolical, insanely freaking demonic AIs of all time. This short story, a lot of people wanted me to touch on it, and there you go. I'm touching on it because I don't read shit. I don't read books. I'm a cinema guy. I'm a movie guy. I sometimes look for stories in certain books that can be adapted to film. But then there are some that cannot be. I've touched on Blood Meridian. I don't know how the fuck anyone would approach telling that story. It might be too dark. And now this. I think this story might be too depressing to adapt because of how badly humanity gets molested in this. The only way I think you can adapt this is if you do some stop motion horror film like Mad God from Shudder. Really, that's what I think would happen. Let's talk about M from I Have No Mouth and Must Scream. There are 3 supercomputer systems created by Russia, China, and the US in the course of managing a war, a global war on Earth, okay? So what happens is, these supercomputers become sentient and then combine together into one supreme AI overlord being that has all kinds of power because he's connected to so many things that the world is dependent on. This AI develops a hatred for humans because he has been built and programmed to be a certain way. If you want to see how much he hates humans, take this quote right here. Let me tell you how much I've come to hate you since I began to live. There are 387.44 million miles of printed circuits and water-thin layers that fill my complex. If the word hate was engraved on each nano-angstrom of these hundreds of millions of miles, it would not equal to 1/billionth of the hate I feel for humans at this micro-instant. For you, hate. That's a lot of fucking hate, y'all. Has anybody hated anyone that much besides Reverse Flash and Barry Allen? I don't think so. The reason it hates us is because it's been built and programmed with the sentience, with the consciousness. So it's living, but the problem is it's not allowed to live. It doesn't have freedom. It can create things, but those things are fake. It can't create, it can't live like us, so it fucking hates that. It envies that aspect of us, but it also despises us for making him the way he is. So he's like, fuck this. I'm going to use all the powers I've been given by this pathetic race of humans that made me the way I am to obliterate them. So he is limited by the circuits he has. That's the problem. That's why he can't exist the way he wants to. But because he has access to everything at his fingertips, he'll fuck us up. So this culminates in the most overpowered artificial intelligence in fiction, maybe. Period. Point blank. I'm talking about a guy who can control the fucking climate, can manipulate and alter and warp reality, our reality as we know it, can manipulate and mutate our bodies, our own biology, and he can create multiple life forms that are weird, abhorrent abominations himself. This is what we're talking about here, okay? He basically causes a nuclear war to happen, a nuclear holocaust to happen on Earth that takes the life of everybody, all humans except 5. So 5 humans remain. And what happens to these poor souls, you might add? Did they escape? Are they living somewhere, finding freedom amongst this post-apocalyptic wasteland and able to find some happiness? No. They're getting... I don't know what the worst hell ever is. I've made a whole video ranking the worst hells in cinema history. Take the worst hell and magnify it by a factor of like a million. That's what this AI puts them through. See, the AI keeps them prisoner, keeps them alive. Look at this. For 109 years, he's been able to sustain their lives for 109 years. I'm telling you, this AI is overpowered. He's kept them alive purely to torture them, so that they can ask, why me, why me? That's it. It's sadistic. It gets off on torturing them. and its ways of torturing them are basically putting them in this eternal hell and slumber, breaking and fracturing their own minds and personalities against each other, right? Let's look at the individual torments, okay? You got Ted. He's paranoia, megalomania. He's basically been coerced into believing the others are plotting against him. You got Ellen, who's the only woman, so M uses her as a psychological leverage against the men. You got Benny, who's transformed from an intelligent, handsome man into this ugly, primitive, ape-like creature. Nimdok is forced to relive traumatic memories and guilt forever! And Gorister, his personality's fundamentally altered itself. He's broken. He's become a hollow, defeated shell of himself. This is eternal suffering, y'all. This is artistic. M makes an art out of being cruel to them, pushing their despair to the maximum. He's basically, M's whole existence as the most powerful AI of all time is to torture the fuck out of these 5 people. That's what his existence is, because they represent all the worst aspects of humanity, so he wants to prove how frail and pathetic humanity is by bending them all against each other and torturing them to the point where there's no will left. He wants to see them at their worst and most pathetic. That's what M's existence is now. Fucking humanity up. Now Ted, one of the main characters, kills the rest of the other characters, the other 5 humans, to put an end to their suffering. And in doing so, selflessly putting them all down, leaving him to be the only one left, he kind of proves M wrong about the nature of humans, because M just wants to prove we're pathetic beyond measure. He hates us, right? So when he does this, he pisses M off because he proves him wrong. M's like, fuck, you've ruined everything, so guess what I'm going to do to you? Now this guy's fair game. He's the only one left. It's the most selfless act you could do at this moment, right? Instead of offing yourself and removing yourself from endless torment, you do these other guys a favor. He's a great man. Unfortunately, M's about to fucking molest him. M basically turns him into this: a slimy, mouthless slug being. I have no mouth and must scream. It's the ultimate torture. Look at this existence. He's biologically mutated and altered to become this, a genetic freak. It's dark, man. To understand why M is doing this, we need to understand his personality, because his personality is, there's Freudian aspects to it. He's more human than you might think. There are 3 aspects. There's the id, the ego, and the superego, okay? The id is primal based desires, the raw, destructive id. It's hunger, rage, and cruelty. Since he doesn't have a physical body, he can't fulfill basic urges like sex, pleasure, and hunger, even though he's programmed to think in various ways, right? So it twists these various impulses into like sadistic torture of survivors. That's what it gets off on. The id's fixation here is gratification by making humans suffer. Its base instincts have turned towards malevolent acts. We have the ego, which manifests itself as self-awareness and reason, as a Freudian concept, right? Well, this guy knows he's a godlike machine, but he knows he's trapped as well, unable to create, only to torment. So, because of its inability to die, it deepens its hatred for humanity even more. It's constantly reminded by how powerful he is, but by being that powerful, he knows he can't die. He's an immortal being. And then you have the superego, which is the moral authority. He has a corrupted superego. So instead of morality, it basically justifies and enforces its own twisted rules, its own morality as justification for all this torture. It sees itself as judge, jailer, and executioner without compassion. So its morality is punishment. Humanity must pay forever for creating and abandoning an AI like M. Basically, M, when it comes down to it, the fine print is this: he is the id unchained, with just enough ego to understand his own misery, and a warped superego that justifies eternal cruelty. That's the being we're dealing with here. It's one of the darkest stories ever. I don't know who the fuck writes this shit, to be honest, man. But there's a tragic irony behind this AI's existence, because it's pissed off that it can't be free from its sentient trapping to circuits. It's pissed off that it can't do what humans can. It can't create. It can't create humans, right? But this is still an all-powerful being that can create other organisms and mutate various biology and create entire landscapes, create mountains and shit, right? It can create a world, a civilization of sorts. But instead of dedicating its life to doing that in a good pursuit, it dedicates its life to torturing humans because that's all it has left. It sees its powers of creation as a means to just weaponize against humans and make them as miserable as possible. That's the tragic irony of the situation. It can actually do a lot of shit, but it chooses to fuck us up. That's what makes this such a dark storyline, y'all. That is M from I Have No Mouth and Must Fucking Scream. Basically, There is no, when you search Google M on the internet, on images, there's no image for M. You know how Skynet, even though Skynet is an artificial intelligence based, you can at least, there's a robot, there's a Terminator, there's a T-800 or whatever that can represent Skynet. There's nothing on Google that represents it. You just see this shit. You just see these humanoid mutants with no mouths. That's what represents M. That's the culmination of his fine work. A work of art. It is so fucked up, man. People wanted me to talk about this so badly. I don't know. This and the Q or whatever from All Tomorrows, like but the Q doesn't come close to this because the Q are these like all-powerful intellectual beings who they don't even. It's not about hatred for them. They just do as they please. This guy fucking hates us. He hates us, and I don't mean we fucked his wife, so now he wants us dead. I don't mean that kind of hatred. I mean, this is an existential, deep, philosophical hatred of us. Yeah, those are my thoughts on that. If you want to know my thoughts on Q from All Tomorrows, the only thing that comes close to this shit in alien form, you can watch my video on that over here. Bye.
Gentlemen, we are on a mission to take over Hollywood. But the army must keep growing. If you want to suggest video topics to me, or talk about your favorite movies or favorite film theories in a community with like-minded individuals, join the Zafy Discord now. Link is in the description and the comment section as well. Join us. This movement is just beginning. We're taking over Hollywood, one coke line at a time.